How's it going, traders? It's Papa Wall Street back with another post-market weekday review. Today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to actually go through a little bit of my post-day market process. So before we get into that, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoy my content and you look forward to seeing these actionable trade ideas each and every day. If you can, please leave a comment down below. It's really helpful for the algorithms. And of course, I'm not a financial advisor. What I'm going to be going for is mainly educational content. It is not for financial advice. So what I said at the top is what I'm going to do is something a little different. Now, this is going to be a slightly longer format than my quick hit 4 to 10 minute videos. And so for those that want to get through this a little quicker, you can go on expert mode, which is 1.25 or 1.5 speed. If you so deem, if you can consume content that way, then certainly do that. I mean, I'd rather you get through all of this so you can see my process than have to slog through a 30 minute video and go at 1x speed. So generally what I do is I just go 1.25 or 1.5. If you can speed listen, so to speak, 2x it, right? But I certainly don't recommend it. I feel like I talk fast enough. I'm not that slow of a talker. So in any event, let's dig a little bit into the chart. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm on a 30-minute. When I'm midweek, since I'm looking more for quicker trades and day trades, I tend to stay on the 30-minute chart. And so let's take a quick look. We're looking at SPY here. And you can see we had our high back here around November 19th and came pretty close to that last week or the week before last. And ever since this gap down, right, we made a higher low here. We had this gap down reversal. We closed the gap right there. We pulled back and in turn caused another gap right here, right? What's cool about this too, and I'll take a little walk through TrendSpider, which is the platform that I use. I have this little tool called the Gap Snake, and I can just flip it on, and it'll show me where all the gaps are. Sometimes it misses the little small, minute, minor gaps, like this little gap I see right there. But for the most part, it's going to catch all these major gaps, and so I'm always going to be cognizant of the gaps that are either above or below for gap fill plays. So in any event, just wanted to take a little sidetrack on that. So going back to SPY, so we've been making a series of higher lows pretty much all week. Even today was a little choppy, right? We had a little flag forming here on the 30-minute chart for the day. But that's, for me, that's a bullish setup. And you could see we've been riding this 8 to 21 EMA cloud. That's my yellow cloud right here. And although it's starting to flatten out, we're holding that 21 EMA right there. So if you want to see that a little closer, let me zoom in. Right? And you can see that if I turn on my 21 EMA, we've been holding it pretty much right there. So looking pretty good. All moves can't go up in straight lines. They tend to, at some point, consolidate, and that's exactly what we're seeing here in SPY. And if I make sure that my anchored volume by price is at the proper spot, we can see that we have a nice volume shelf down here. Now, that's not to say we're going to come back down and test it, because look, we're building a small shelf up here as well. But if we were to lose, let's say 476, then I would expect a move possibly down to 473 and then certainly to 471. And then our main demand zone would be at 469. A couple of things to note on this SPY chart. We do have a 30-minute squeeze starting to set up. We were in overbought territory, and now we're coming back down. I like to watch this come down to possibly 50 on RSI, see if we get a bounce there. That's possibly what we may see here if we continue to consolidate in a flag. And our MACD did cross down on this move down. So that's pretty much what I'm looking at on SPY. Let's take a look at the Qs. Very similar story, right? Flag right here into the 21 EMA. We closed right on top of it. Similar volume shelf, similar demand zone below. Similar move higher. We also have a 30-minute squeeze setting up, although we're deeper into that squeeze. And we had a MACD cross under, and we're closer to bouncing possibly off of 50. So Qs look pretty similar. Let's take a look at small caps, IWM, Russell 2000. Another similar story. So the market pretty much has been moving in tandem, these three markets, although we did pull back already to 50, bounced, and came back and retested 50 here on RSI. No squeezes to note. MACD already crossed down. And so I'm going to be watching a pullback possibly to this 221 area. See if we get a bounce there. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a similar story to what we're seeing on the other indices. So now that I've taken a look at my three main indexes, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my ETFs, right? These are the exchange traded funds that track a particular sector. If I go to my daily chart, you'll see that I have the sector holdings on each of the sector names. So this one is XLU. This is your utilities. So NEE, DUK, Southern Co., etc. So I'm not going to do this for every single one. A great resource that you can use is ETF.com. Go to ETF.com. You can type in the ETF letters, right? ELU, and it'll give you a whole performance history. It'll give you the names of all of the top holdings in order of percentage holding. It's a pretty good resource. Okay, so let's take a look at utilities. Looks like it had a pretty decent day, up 1%. You can see it's riding that 21 EMA. Let's see. Nice series of higher lows and higher highs. Right, we've got a little bit of a channel forming. Actually, let's do this. Let's get my channel tool. Get a little channel built out here and see where we're at. So you can see we're still seeing a little bit of resistance from that center channel, right? You can see that pretty much right here and right here and then right here. And so we're flagging. So if we get maybe a flag breakout, then I would expect possibly a break of that center channel, and then utilities will possibly test the top of the channel. You could see back here, we had a breakout of 70.04 right when RSI bounced off of a 50 number, and then we had also a squeeze setting up that fired and gave us that propelled move higher. So it looks like we're holding the 8 EMA for now. Watch for potential consolidation into the 21 with a bounce off the 21 for a breakout there. Next up is Jets. This is your airline tickers. So you can see we were in a down channel here on the 30-minute. We gapped over the channel resistance here, and we've been basically in a rising channel here ever since breaking this falling channel. We had a squeeze setting up on the 30-minute that fired, although it didn't fire with any upwards movement. So basically, this seemed like a bit of a dud fire. Airlines have been pretty weak with the Omicron variant resurging. Obviously, travel stocks are going to get hit. So that's basically why we're seeing it. Although we could see that we are forming a nice volume shelf here. If we continue to chop around and build out that shelf, that could certainly add possibility to a launch pad off of that shelf. So keeping a closer eye on Jets in the coming days and weeks. Next up is real estate, XLRE. You can see we just broke a 3618 extension at 50.79. If I were to drop a trend line here at 50.67, which was our previous high, you can see we also broke that, and looks like we're flagging as well. So we're seeing a lot of these main indexes and smaller ETFs flagging, which generally in an upwards projection or an upwards trajectory is generally a bullish pattern. So I don't mind a little consolidation. As I always like to say, markets do not go up in straight lines. They tend to go up in waves. And so, that's exactly what it looks like is happening here. So let's take a quick look at some other indexes here. We got XTN, that's your transports. That looks pretty close to breaking higher here. to drop a trend line here at 95.07. You can see we came back up to it here and failed, but we're holding that 21 EMA. Let's take a look at financials, XLF. This one has a bit of a down trend line here. You can see resistance right there. And resistance again right there. So let's see how deep of a pullback we get. Maybe we pull back to this 2618 and 3618 Fibonacci cluster, which also happens to be at a demand zone. Let's see if we get a bounce off that and a retest of this down channel. We break that down channel, then my first target would be this high right here and then this high right here. But of course we have a 1618 extension at 39.96 in between. So that would always be the level that I would watch. And let's see, the last green one of the day today was MDY. That's your mid cap. And let's take a look from this trend line here, or this potential resistance line there. So you can see we had a false breakout, second false breakout, holding that 21 EMA. No squeezes, MACD cross under. Let's see if RSI comes down to 50. But that's pretty much what I'm seeing green today. There wasn't a lot of green. If we go all the way down, let's see, our weakest sector was the marijuana sector, which honestly has just been really weak. You could see where we're just, failing pretty much. Every pattern that sets up is pretty much a breakdown. So watch for a possible move. You can see we're losing this volume shelf right here. Watch for a possible move down to the bottom of this wedge here. So let's take a quick look at my top 10, or probably a little more now because I've added some top 10 plus stocks. So Dollar Tree I did add today. Looked pretty strong, but now pulling back to its 21. I like Dollar Tree over 141.83 for a possible move back up to, let's say, about 147. Let's take a look at FCX. This is Freeport McMoran. Looks pretty good, right? Caught that breakout over $40, which for me was a hard level that we've failed to break in the past. So we broke it with authority this week, Monday and Tuesday, and now we're flagging. So next stop is going to be 42.66. Next one up is Tesla. So Tesla, if we zoom out a little bit, you can see that we're breaking a downtrend line here, and also broke 1070, which was a level that I was watching from back here. We also broke 1091 and we broke 1106, but that's where we failed. And we closed under 1100, so 1088 is where we closed. Let's watch to see Tesla tomorrow. Let's see if we hold that 50 on RSI, because we're right at that 21 EMA and we're right at that level 1091. So if we break above that, I would watch for a move over 1100 on Tesla in the next day or two. I think the 1150s can work as a quick day trade, possibly the 1200s as well if you want to save a little on premium. But I tend not to go out too much further than my next resistance. And this line here is telling me my next resistance is 1166. So maybe the 1150s or the 1170s would be ideal from a premium strike perspective. Next up is Qualcomm. Another similar stock. I was watching SMH, right? Let's take a quick look at SMH. That is going to be your semiconductor ETF. Really strong along with the rest of the market. And so I had a lot of chip names on my watch list this week, Qualcomm being one of them, and still looks pretty good. Holding that 21 EMA. We did lose it for a little bit, and now we're holding it still, so looking pretty good. NEO, bit of a dud this week. Didn't really do what I was hoping it would do. We did break out of that falling wedge, but came right into our 236 retracement at 31.42, and now it's starting to fall away from there. And the 21 EMA, as you can see here on the 30-minute, I'll zoom in a little bit for you to get a better look at it, but it's acting as resistance now. So it's looking pretty weak for the moment. What I would do here is I would just create an alert on that 236, which is telling me I can't do for some reason. I guess because it's in after hours. So let me put it here. And what I'll do is I'll just create an alert here. And, I'll just let myself know that NEO is approaching that fib level. I'll make sure the confirmation is on that 5 minute. And I want to get a little bit of an early alert if it does do that. So what I tend to do here is I just increase the sensitivity to capture these candles, down here. So this will give me an alert. I'll set it for the next 5 days. And now I won't have to worry about watching NEO. All right, let's take a look at MU. MU has been really strong ever since earnings. You could see we did gap on that earnings from last week. I'll drop an anchored VWAP there. We might come back down and test that. We lost the 21 and we failed the 21 here, right? We gapped below it this morning. So we tried to recover and failed. But if we do come down to this anchored VWAP here, this blue line, which is basically anchored to its peg, which is the power earnings gap up, it's also right at that 1272 extension at 91.36. So I might get some nice confluence here for a potential breakout or a bounce play. But if I zoom out, right, you see this large broadening formation. Look what happens when I extend that line. We had a breakout. We had a successful retest and bounce. But now we gapped below that 21 EMA, failed. So I want to see in the next 2 days Micron, ticker MU, get back over 94.30. If we get back over 94.30, then I think we have a shot to 97 and possibly $100 this week. Next up, let's take a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA was another one. Had a really good trade on it yesterday. Caught two trades. Basically, I was holding the 295Cs from Thursday, held it small position over the weekend, over the holiday weekend. I only do small positions if I'm holding over the weekend. Caught the trade through 300, grabbed the 310Cs, sold the majority of it, over 100%. The top was at around 125, and basically exited the rest of that position. And then I rolled up with profit only to the 320s on the close. And I was able to exit a little of that on the morning open, but I wound up stopping out of the rest basically for, I think, about a 15% loss. And but look, it back tested 300 and bounced. So what I'm going to watch tomorrow is, can NVIDIA get through 305? MACD's starting to flatten out. RSI did close right on 50, so I'm going to watch to see, can we get a close or can we get a break over 305? Look at these three 30-minute candles right here. 305 certainly is a level. You can see right here, after we broke out of 300, stopped right at 305, continued right on that next 30-minute candle, back tested on this candle here and this candle here and this candle here, finally before failing this morning, and then obviously failing again. So I do like NVIDIA back through 305. Being that tomorrow's Wednesday, I think the 310s could work for a quick trade. Just got to watch this 310 to 311.62 level. Next up is Shop. Shop was another one. It looked pretty strong, and it's just been fading away. So now the 21 on the 30-minute is acting as resistance once we failed it, right? Resistance there, and although we didn't quite touch it yet, possibly resistance there. And then look at how weak RSI looks, right? We hit 50 and got rejected, came back down basically to oversold, got an oversold bounce. MACD looks like it's flattening out and no squeezes to note. So putting the pause button on Shopify, unless we get back through 1400, then I think you have a quick trade possibly to 1450. The 1450Cs can work. Next up is Snapchat. Possible wave 4 pullback here. So just going to keep a closer eye on this pullback. It was expected. Just going to see, can we hold 47.34? If we can, then possibly see a move back up to $50. ON down 2%. Again, with semis looking kind of weak today, looks like we might be pulling back right here, coming back to the purple cloud, which is my 34.55 EMA. Now, Roblox, another one, looked really weak. It looked pretty good this week, and then today just took a poop, and now we're failing underneath this channel. So a couple of these, Neo, Roblox, probably going to be off my list for a little bit. And next one up is Upstart. Really caught a beautiful entry down here through 135, right on that break of the 21 EMA. Bounced right on top of the 21 EMA, came back up, came to the top of the channel, and came into the fib cluster and got rejected. And so now we're pulling back. And listen, I'm not upset about this move. We did catch it pretty well, but now 150.90 is going to be the key level to watch. If we could break back over 150.90, then I think we got a shot at testing 162 to 164 to the upside. So that's pretty much my daily review today. I hope you enjoyed this format. Let me know what you think about this versus the 4 to 10 minute quick hits where I go over the charts that way. I think this is a little more in depth. I might start doing a little more of these from time to time just to give you a little more insight into my thought process, why I'm choosing the names and stocks that I am, and what I'm looking at in terms of what I'd be watching for in the coming days towards the end of the week. So once again, thank you so much for being with me. I am the Pup of Wall Street. Feel free to like and subscribe to my channel if you've enjoyed this content. And of course, if you can, and if you have a spare moment, just write a little something down below in the comments. Even if it's just to say hi, it really helps out with the algorithm. So thanks again for being with me, and I will catch you again tomorrow in the markets.